Hello everyone, this is me Twinkle and I welcome you back to the discussion of the questions of the week, wherein we are discussing some important questions of the recent week, some top 10 questions that I've picked, keeping in mind the upcoming prelims 2022. And as you all know, the strategy is to cover the topics through the questions. It's not just about solving the MCQ but also tapping the topics of major importance. Okay, I hope you guys are doing great. Your preparations has been fantastic till date. Keep up the good work and don't give up. So we'll start with question number 1. Yeah, question number 1 says that with reference to state of world population report, okay, with reference to state of world population report, consider the following statements. Now, statement number 1 says that it is an annual flagship publication of the World Bank, Second says that it highlights emerging issues in the field of sexual, reproductive health and rights. So we need to understand that which of the given facts about this is correct, okay? So we have to mark the correct statement here. Firstly, we'll understand the context of this question, because that's something you need to understand, that why this has been here and why are we discussing this and what is the current importance of this question. We are discussing this question because recently what has happened that the United Nations Population Fund's annual State of World Population Report of the year 2022 released, and that is why this question is being discussed here, okay? Now furthermore, if we study about this report, we have to discover certain facts about this report to solve the question. We see that the State of World Population Report is United Nations Populations Fund, UNFPA's annual flagship publication, okay? So this is nothing to do with the World Bank, whereas in the question it was given that it is a publication given by the World Bank, which is wrong. It is given by UNFPA on yearly basis, and this has been carried out since the year 1978. I hope this much is clear to you. Now, the report is titled as Seeing the Unseen, okay? Seeing the Unseen is the title of the report that is published in the year 2022. The case for action in the neglected crisis of unintended pregnancy, right? So it deals with that particular issue. Now, it shines a light, it actually focuses on emerging issues in the field of sexual and reproductive health and rights, okay? So that is the entire aim of the report, to focus or to put a light on the field of sexual and productive health and rights, okay, issues related to this particular thing. Now, it brings them into the mainstream and explores the challenges and opportunities they present for the international development. Also, in the annual report that was published in the year 2022, it was stated that over 60% of unintended pregnancy are ending into abortion, and out of them lagbhag 45% of the abortions are unsafe, which actually leads to maternal death, okay? 5% to 13% of maternal deaths are caused, which is a very severe matter of concern, okay? So it focuses to find solutions and to tackle the challenges which are relevant to this particular issue of reproductive health and rights, okay? Let us get back to the question and try solving it on our own. Now, statement number 1 says that it is an annual flagship publication of the World Bank, which is absolutely wrong, okay? We understood that this is not relevant to the World Bank thing, whereas, okay, this is wrong. So it is given by UNPF, okay? I hope this is clear to you. So that is why statement number 1 stands to be incorrect. Statement number 2 says that it highlights emerging issues in the field of sexual and reproductive health and rights, which is absolutely correct, because ultimately that has been the intention of this entire report and the research and study conducted through this report, okay? I hope this is clear to you. Now, if we mark the correct option here, statement number 1 is wrong. Only 2 is correct. So B is the right answer, okay? I hope this is clear to you. Let's move to question number 2 now. Now, let us go ahead with question number 2 here. Question number 2 says that World Energy Transition Outlook is released by which organization? Whether it is released by International Renewable Energy Agency, that is IRENA, whether it's given by World Energy Council or Energy Foundation or Sustainable Energy for All. Firstly, we'll understand the context of this question, that why this has been prominently in news and why are we discussing it here for the upcoming prelims 2022. So firstly, understand the context, and right by knowing the context, you'll be able to figure out the right answer as well. So IRENA launched the World Energy Transition Outlook 2022 at the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue. So which is the organization that is released? It is nothing but IRENA. Okay, so IRENA launched the World Energy Transition Outlook 2020 at the Berlin Transition Dialogue. I hope this is clear to you. Well, we are now familiar with the right answer, but there's more to know from this particular question. I want you to know more about this particular outlook. So World Energy Transition Outlook outlines priority actions till 2030 to keep 1.5 degrees Celsius alive. Now what is this about? This is about limiting the global temperature rise to only 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so it's about tackling with the issue of global temperature rise and to limit it to only 1.5 degrees Celsius. At the same time, it is also aiming to reduce the carbon emission to net zero. Okay. Now, if we study about the aim, so it calls on governments to fast track energy transition for more energy security, resilience, and also the affordable energy for one and all. If we look at the goals of this particular outlook, the outlook sets out priority areas and actions based on available technologies that can be adopted by the year 2030, okay, which will help in achieving net zero emissions by the mid-century, okay. And then next we see that renewables will have to scale up massively across all sectors from 14%, which is presently the thing, okay, 14% of total energy, which is today's scenario, to around 40% by the year 2030, okay. Also, we see that global annual additions of renewable power will triple by the year 2030 as recommended by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, okay. I hope this is clear to you, this particular discussion is clear to you. So, like I told you, the correct answer of the question that World Energy Transition Outlook is released by which organization? So, the World Energy Transition Outlook is released by IRENA, that is International Renewable Energy Agency. Now, question number 3 here says that which of the statement is or are correct regarding the Antarctica. Now, the temperature in the middle of Antarctica is much colder than the temperature on the coast, and second says that it has no trees or bushes. The third says that Himadri is the permanent research base station in Antarctica. So, we need to understand certain facts about Antarctica and we'll be good to go for this particular question. But then moreover, you need to understand the context of this question. This question is prominently here because the government introduced the Antarctica bill in the Lok Sabha, okay. So what is this Antarctica bill? Antarctica bill is all about providing domestic legislation with regard to Antarctica in India, okay. So this draft is about, the bill is the first domestic legislation with regard to Antarctica in India, okay. Now there are 27 countries including Argentina, Australia, Belarus, Belgium, Canada, etc., which already have domestic legislation in Antarctica, but countries like India are now pursuing it, okay. So India has been sending expeditions to Antarctica since the past 40 years, but these expeditions have been circumscribed by international law. But now what will happen is the bill will now put it into place a comprehensive list of regulations related to Antarctica for such scientific expeditions as well as for individual companies and also the tourists, okay. So if we check about the Antarctic Treaty, we see that it is a treaty that was signed in the year 1959 by 12 countries including Argentina, Australia, New Zealand, Norway, etc. Okay, and it came into force in the year 1961. The treaty covers the area of south of 60° south latitude, okay. So this is about the treaty. The objective of the treaty was to demilitarize Antarctica and establish it as a zone for peaceful research activities and to set aside any disputes regarding territorial sovereignty, thereby ensuring international cooperation, okay. So that has been the objective of this particular treaty. You can read about it more in detail if you wish to. Next, if we see that what are the main provisions of this particular Antarctica bill that we are studying. So the main provisions are that while most of the significant provisions of the bill remains extending of jurisdiction of Indian courts to Antarctica and the investigation and trial for crimes committed on the Arctic continent, the bill is a comprehensive document of regulations, okay. So it is basically a document of regulations, particularly keeping in mind environmental protection and the fragile nature of the region, okay, fragile nature of the region. Which region? The Antarctic region. I hope this is clear to you, right? Next, see that the bill introduces elaborate permit system for any expedition or individual who wishes to visit the continent, okay. These permits will be issued by a committee that will be set up by the government. The committee will comprise of the Secretary, Earth Science Ministry, and will also have officials from Defense Ministry of External Affairs, Finance, Fisheries, Legal Affairs, Science and Technology, Shipping, Tourism, Environment, Communication and Space Ministries, along with the member of the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research and National Security Council Secretariat and experts on the region of Antarctica. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Please go through this part specially. And the permits can be cancelled by committee if deficiencies are found on activities in the contravention of the law. If the contravention of the law is detected, okay, so the permits can also be cancelled. It's not something which is very rigid, okay, so cancellation can take place. Now there are certain prohibitions as well, okay. So the prohibitions will include that the bill prohibits drilling, dredging, excavation or collection of mineral resources or even doing anything to identify where such mineral deposits occur. The only exception is for scientific research with a granted permit. So all these activities cannot take place there, okay. Only scientific research activities can take place, and that too by having a valid permit, okay. So these are certain things. Now damaging of native plants is prohibited. Flying or landing helicopters or operating vessels that could disturb birds and seals, using firearms that could disturb the birds and animals, remove soil or any biological material native to Antarctica, engaging in any activity that could adversely change the habitat of birds and animals and kill or injure them is also strictly prohibited in that area. So all in all, if we talk about this, it is prohibiting all of the activities that is actually harming the naturality of the region, the natural habitat of that region of Antarctica. Only thing that is permitted is scientific research, and that too it has to be done by obtaining proper permission, okay. That's all for this question. Now let us know some facts about the region of Antarctica. We've discussed about the bill here. Next we'll study about Antarctica. So if we study about Antarctica, it says that it has two seasons, that is summer and winter. Earth is tilted in space and the direction of tilt never changes. Of course, we know that during summer Antarctica is on the side of Earth tilted towards the sun, okay, and it is always sunny because the tilt is towards the sun. In winters the tilt is away from the sun, okay. Let's see this through a diagram. So this is what I'm talking about. This is summer. The tilt is towards the sun, okay, which is the season of summer, and that is why it is always sunnier during that particular period of time. Now during winters what happens, if this is the tilt and this is Antarctica, this is away from the sun, okay, this is away from the sun. So it is always dark, okay, during the winter season. I hope this statement is clear to you through the diagram. Now next, if we see that Antarctica has no trees or bushes, okay, because of its weather conditions there. The only plants that can live in a place that is cold are moss and algae, okay. This is one thing. Now next, if we study further about Antarctica, it is said that Dakshin Gangotri was established in the year 1983 over the ice shelf in the central Droning Mod and region, okay. The station was abandoned in the year 1990 as it got buried under the snow, and then currently Maitri, Bharati are fully operational, okay. So it's not just Gangotri which is relevant to this region, but also Maitri and Bharati are equally relevant. Yes, so now if we discuss this correct answer of this particular question, the first statement said that the temperature in the middle of Antarctica is much colder than the temperature on the coast, which is correct, okay. This is actually a fact. And it has no trees or bushes, yes, this is also right. Second, it says that Himadri is the permanent research base station in Antarctica, which is wrong. Himadri is not the permanent research base station in Antarctica. The statement number 3 is incorrect. So only 1 and 2 is the right option. B is the correct answer, okay. I hope this question is clear to you. We'll move to question number 4 now. says that the digital form J recently seen in the news, it is related to which of the following? We are talking about this digital form J, whether it's related to income tax, whether it's related to agricultural produce, school education, conservation of biodiversity. We'll figure that out. Let us understand this context of the question here. So in the news, it was said that the Punjab Mandi board has decided to send a digital form J on the WhatsApp numbers of farmers from this Rabi procurement season. Okay, so the move is actually aiming to bring empowerment and transparency amongst the farmers, and it will make Punjab the first state in the country to provide this particular digitized form J in real time. Okay, so basically the aim of this particular initiative is to empower the farmers and also create the transparency. Okay, so I hope this much is clear to you. Next, we take a look on the things related to form J. So J form is the scale receipt of a farmer's agricultural produce in mandis, that is the grain market. Mandis are what? That is grain market. So it is nothing but it is a sale receipt of the farmer's agricultural produce. These forms were earlier issued manually by the Arthyas. Now who are Arthyas? These are the commission agents. Okay, and because of that the transparency was lost. Okay, the real time communication with the farmers was also lost because there was an agent in between, that is Arthyas. They were commission agents. Now because in Punjab a majority of farmers sell their crops through these agents only, so Punjab has taken the initiative that this form J will be introduced to empower the farmers, to create more transparency and to have more real-time communication with the farmers. Now several Arthyas had the habit of keeping these forms with themselves instead of providing it to the farmers, which was their right. Okay, like I told you, there was certain things that led to the cheats, cases of cheats and frauds. Okay. But then by getting digitized J form, farmers will now have a clear record of the crops sold and also the income received of that, and it will also save their time as well as ensuring that they do not need to run to Arthyas to get the copies of their sale. Okay. So that is all about the provision of J form in the state of Punjab. I hope this is clear to you. We'll go back to the question and check what is the correct option. So this J form is related to income tax? No. Whether it's related to agricultural produce? Yes. So B is the correct answer. Okay. We'll move to the next question here. Next question says that consider the following statements. The statement says that the governor is the constitutional head of the state. The president of India acts as the executive head of the union territory. So we are all talking about the governor's role and the president's role. President in the case of union territory and governor in the case of the state. Let us understand the context of this question here. The context is that recently the Punjab Assembly passed a resolution reiterating the state's claim on Chandigarh. Now let us understand about the role of the governor and the president. Okay, so the executive power of the state shall be vested in the governor's hand and shall be exercised by him either directly or through officers which are subordinate to him in accordance with the Constitution of India. It is mentioned in Article 154. If we check Article 155, it says that the governor of a state shall be appointed by the president by warrant under his hand and seal. Okay, this is mentioned where? In Article 155. So these are the two relevant things about the governor mentioned in Article 154, which says that the executive power of the state shall be vested in the hands of the governor and shall be exercised by him either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with the Constitution of India. Then at the same time, Article 55 says that the governor of a state shall be appointed by the president by warrant under his hand and seal. So this is certain, these are certain provisions regarding the governor, Article 154 and Article 155, remember that. Now the governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, this is a fact and you need to remember that governor is the constitutional head of the state. Now if we further take a look in case of union territory, so we see that the union territory shall be administered by the president. Governor has nothing to do in case of the union territory. It is administered by the president himself and also to such extent as he thinks fit through an administrator which is appointed by him or with such designation as he may specify. Okay, the President of India is the executive head of the Union Territory. Okay, executive head of the Union Territory. So President is the executive head and the Governor is the constitutional head. Let us go back to the question and see if the statements are right or wrong. So here the Governor is the constitutional head of the state. This is correct. We studied that. Okay, the constitutional head of the state. Who? The Governor. Okay, the President of India acts as the executive head of the Union Territory. This is also correct. So the President is the executive head. Okay, this is correct, and Governor is the constitutional head. Both the statements are correct. So both 1 and 2, C is the right answer. Now starting with question number 6 here. Question number 6 says that arrange the following places from west to east direction. Okay, the places are Kalapani, Limpiadhura and Lipu Lake. Now this is completely a map based question. We'll refer the map for this particular question, but before that let us understand the context of this question. So the context is that recently India and Nepal signed key pacts on connectivity and energy. Okay, and that is why this is in news. Now we'll go to the map and understand the arrangement from west to east. So if we check here, this is the west, this is west, okay, this is east, right, and we have to make an arrangement from west to east, right, as mentioned in the question. So the westernmost is Limpiadhura, okay, the easternmost is Lipu Lake, and in between them is Kalapani. So the arrangement becomes Limpiadhura, then comes Kalapani, and then comes Lipu Lake. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. We'll check the same arrangement and we'll mark the correct answer. What is it? Limpiadhura, Kalapani, Lipu Lake. Okay, so in the question, it is we saw that in the westernmost is Limpiadhura, then was Kalapani, okay, and then in the eastern side was Lipu Lake, right. So I hope this is clear to you. So Limpiadhura, that is option 2, Kalapani, that is option 1, Lipu Lake, that is option 3. So the code is 213. We'll just understand where's the code 213. It's option B. B is the right option. Okay, 213. Limpiadhura, Kalapani, Lipu Lake from west to east arrangement. Please remember this. So that's all for this question. Starting with question number 7. Question number 7 says that endosulfan frequently seen in the news is related to what? A fertilizer, an insecticide, a drug for diabetes or a herbicide. Let us understand certain things about endosulfan first. So we see that endosulfan is a highly toxic insecticide that produces tonic-clonic convulsions, headache, dizziness and ataxia. Ataxia is a loss of control over bodily movements. Okay. So what is this? This is loss of control on bodily movements. Right. So that is what we call as ataxia. Now second is convulsions. Convulsions is also a similar kind of a state wherein there is contraction and release of the muscles. Okay, so the muscle contracts and relax at a very rapid rate, and that causes a lot of shivering. Okay, which is uncontrollable shivering of the body. That is convulsions. Now the toxicity of endosulfan is well known on non-target organisms and has been responsible for many severe poisonings, including several fatal cases, and it can also cause life-threatening metabolic disturbances. The Supreme Court banned the manufacture, sale, use and export of endosulfan throughout India, citing its harmful health effects. And that is why if you are regular with the newspaper reading, you must have found a lot of news which was covered in the past 2 to 3 weeks regarding endosulfan. Okay. Now, I hope this is clear to you. I will go back to the question, and we see that the endosulfan frequently seen in news is nothing but it is an insecticide. Okay, it is a poisonous insecticide. Okay, toxic insecticide. Yeah, so question number 8 talks about lookout circular. It says that with reference to lookout circular LOC, consider the following statements. Statement number 1 says that it is issued to stop absconding individuals from leaving the country. Second says that it is mostly used at immigration checkpoints at international airports and seaports. Third says that it can only be initiated by an officer not below the rank of Deputy Secretary. And the fourth statement says that it cannot be modified by the Bureau of Immigration. Okay, so that is what is the case. We have to understand that which of the given statements are correct. Okay, this is the thing. So if we understand the context of this particular question, so it is related to this journalist named Rana Ayub. So what has happened recently is that Delhi High Court sought the Enforcement Directorate's response on journalist Rana Ayub's challenge to its actions of restraining her from leaving the country. Now the background is that Ayub was stopped in Mumbai based on a lookout circular, okay, issued by the ED, which is investigating her in the case of alleged money laundering. Okay, that is the background. Now we'll study something more about LOC, that is lookout circular. So we understand that a lookout circular is issued to make sure that an individual who is absconding or wanted by the law enforcement agency is not able to leave the country. It is mostly used at immigration checkpoints like seaports and airports. In certain cases, the police can approach a court asking for restriction of a person's movement outside the country when that person is a suspect and there is an apprehension that they may not join the investigation at a later stage. Okay. The next fact is that a subject of an LOC can challenge the circular and get relief from the court. So the subject or the person on whom the LOC has been initiated can also challenge it in the court. Okay, this is also provision. Now, who can initiate the LOC? That is one question. So LOC can be initiated by a large number of authorized officers, including an officer not below the rank of Deputy Secretary, an officer not below the rank of Joint Secretary in the state government, and district magistrate or superintendent of police. Some designated officers of various law enforcing and security agencies can also initiate that. A designated officer of Interpol, an officer not below the rank of additional director in the Serious Fraud Investigation Office and the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So it can be initiated by all these people. Okay, all these people holding the rank. Now next, if we see that in the year 2018, the government also empowered the heads of public sector banks to directly request the authorities to issue the LOC against the willful defaulters to prevent them from leaving the country. So this authority was given to the public sector banks in the year 2018. So now an officer not below the rank of chairman, managing director, chief executive of any public sector bank can make the request. Okay, so this is one thing. So you need to understand this also and at the same time go through this also. Okay, so now this is the scenario. This is the scenario. An LOC can be modified, deleted, withdrawn by the Bureau of Immigration only on the specific request of the authorities originator on whose request the LOC is issued. Okay, so it can be modified. It can be either modified, deleted, or also withdrawn by the Bureau of Immigration. Okay. Let us go and check the answer and let us mark the correct answer here. Firstly, we understand that it is issued to stop absconding individuals from leaving the country, which is absolutely correct, right? It is the purpose of LOC is to stop the people from leaving the country, the defaulters especially. And second says it is mostly used at immigration checkpoints like airports and seaports, which is also correct. Statement 2 is also correct. Third says it can only be initiated by an officer not below the rank of Deputy Secretary. Previously this was the case, but then there was an updated thing that was done in the year 2018 and we read that some public sector banks were also given the authority to do that and now it can only be initiated by an officer not below the rank of Deputy Secretary. This statement stands to be wrong. Okay, so this is incorrect and it cannot be modified by the Bureau of Immigration. We saw that it can be modified, it can be withdrawn, it can also be deleted by the Bureau of Immigration. So 3 and 4 are incorrect, 1 and 2 are the correct statements. So only 1 and 2 is the right answer. Now moving ahead with question number 9. Question number 9 says that with reference to facial recognition technology FRT, consider the following statements. So statement number 1 says that DigiYatra initiative is making use of FRT to make air travel easier. Variation in light intensity majorly affects the quality of FRT. We need to mark the correct statements here. We will understand something about FRT. Okay. Now the context of this question is that the facial recognition system or FRT will be implemented in a phased manner, okay. So that is why we are studying this particular topic of facial recognition system. So what is it exactly? The facial recognition system is a part of the Digi Yatra initiative. Please make a note of it. This can be a question, okay. The Digi Yatra initiative of the government for providing passengers seamless and hassle-free experience at the airports, because like you know there has been a lot of formalities and a lot of screening before you get and board the flight. So to reduce all that and to reduce the hassle at the airports, this initiative has been taken and it is a part of Digi Yatra initiative. FRT is a part of Digi Yatra initiative. Please make a note of that. Next, it is said that it is to be implemented in a phased manner, okay. Now there are certain challenges, okay, it is not that easy. So let us understand certain challenges regarding FRT. So because of the illumination there can be challenges in the facial recognition, that is one challenge. Now for moderate levels of lighting of the background, the face detection and recognition are much difficult to perform. Like we know, even if we click a normal picture in the camera or even if you are using a phone camera, so light plays a very crucial role in that, and similar is the case with FRT or FRS. Variation in illumination can vary the total magnitude of light intensity being reflected back from the object, right? We know that the illumination variation can, you know, may sometime give a desired result, may sometime not give the desired result or the output as expected. On the other hand, higher light levels could lead to overexposure of the face and partially undetectable facial patterns, okay. So there at some points the security could be hampered, okay. So this is one challenge. If we go back to the question, we'll just figure out the correct answer here. Digi Yatra initiative is making use of FRT to make air travel easier. Yes, this is absolutely correct. Second is variation in light intensity majorly affects the quality of FRT. Yes, this is also correct. 1 and 2 both are correct. C is the right answer, okay. Yeah, so proceeding with question number 10, which is the last question of this discussion. The question says that consider the following statements. Statement number 1 says capital punishment in India is a legal penalty. Second says that Indian Penal Code, in accordance with the provisions enshrined in the Constitution for India, provided for awarding of capital punishment for certain specific offences. We need to understand that which of the statements here are correct, and then we have to decide the correct answer accordingly. Let's know about the context of this question first. So recently what has happened that Supreme Court has suo motu opened a review of the process by which courts award the death penalty. Now death penalty or capital punishment is the highest degree of punishment, right, that can be awarded to an individual under any penal law in force in any part of the world. Now capital punishment in India is a legal penalty for some crimes, okay, under the country's main substantive penal legislation and the Indian Penal Code as well as the other laws. Now executions are carried out by hanging. Like we all know, death penalty or capital punishment, the executions in this case is carried out by hanging. Now, there should be a very high degree of fairness in a system that is interested in subjecting individuals to the experience of death row and ultimately taking lives through the instrumentality of law, okay. Now what has happened that after 1947, India became a democratic state and the system of awarding death penalties too changed drastically. Previous to 1947, it was altogether different, but as soon as we became democratic in nature, the system changed and it has evolved. The Indian Penal Code, in accordance with the provision enshrined in the Constitution of India, provided for awarding of capital punishment for certain specific offences. So it is now defined, okay. Now next, if we take a look on Article 21 of the Constitution, which guarantees to every citizen the fundamental right to life, also expressly said that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. Okay, that means that capital punishment can be given. Procedure established by law, what does that mean? That except in the case of procedure established by law, and this capital punishment in cases of certain offences is a procedure which is established by the law, okay. So that is exceptional. So if we go back to the question, let us figure out the correct answer. Capital punishment in India is a legal penalty. Yes, it is. The Indian Penal Code, in accordance with the provision enshrined in the Constitution of India, provided for awarding of capital punishment for certain specific offences. This is also correct. Both 1 and 2 are correct. C is the right answer. Okay. So that's all from my end for this discussion of questions of the week. But before leaving, I'll drop a question for you guys here. You might go to the comment section and put down the right answer there. The question says that which of the following countries are part of Five Eyes Alliance? What is it? The Five Eyes Alliance. I want you to read about the Five Eyes Alliance, and at the same time, please make a note that which of the countries are a part of it. Whether United States is a part, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, India, South Korea, all of them are a part of it, or few of them or some of them are part of it. So you can, pick the correct code and mark the correct option and comment it in the comment section. I hope this is something that you'll actively do. I'm expecting this from you. And also, please take care of your health, do well, and get up for the upcoming Prelims 2022. This is me, Twinkle, and like I always say before leaving, let's know together, let's grow together, let's learn together, and let's crack together. Okay, so see ya. Bye-bye.